Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to share a brief personal story in Spanish. I will try my best. Estimados señores y señoras, queridos colegas y amigos, tengan ustedes muy buenos días. Es un placer estar hoy con personas tan distinguidas. Amado a México y a su gente desde hace muchos años. Cuando yo era un niño, nuestra familia visitó Guadalajara, Ciudad de México, Oaxaca, Cancún, Pasco y Acapulco. La pequeña navaja que me compré en ese viaje ha sido un recuerdo muy apreciado por más de 50 años. Earlier this week, a fun mariachi song reminded me that everywhere in Mexico is a delight. The mariachi band played Mexico en la piel. I have thought, that's the way I feel. I have Mexico in mi piel. Earlier in my career, I worked for 2 decades in Washington, D.C. There I learned firsthand the power that comes when civic-minded leaders from different backgrounds share in open and candid conversation with a shared commitment to benefit society. Likewise, today we express gratitude for all gathered in this common cause. Each of you today is an important contributor who influences decisions about religious freedom and human rights in Mexico and the entire region. Thank you to each of you for your expertise and willingness to collaborate and build bridges of dialogue. Everyone knows Mexican families love Grandpa and Grandma. A happy memory for me comes from watching the movie Coco while sitting next to the Rivera family. Actually, I was sitting next to Grandpa Rivera's ofrenda, his photograph, his belt buckle, other favorite personal items. The Rivera family had purchased a ticket for Grandpa's ofrenda so that he could watch the movie with the family. This cultural representation highlights the importance of Mexican and Latino culture, traditions, and faith, and is relatable to families in general. As part of life, we each learn to trust in our family while trying to find ourselves as an individual. And that brings me to my topic today. My remarks focus on the interrelation between 2 fundamental aspects affecting the dignity of every human being: freedom of expression and freedom of religion or belief. If we start with the basic truth that every human being, regardless of status or other identifying characteristics, is born with a level of dignity that is not granted by man, but is inherent with his or her human condition, we can ask ourselves this question: which rights, if restrained, would most strongly intrude on that individual's human dignity? I'm confident not only for this group, but for a vast majority in society, freedom of religion or belief and freedom of expression would be at or near the top. Together, these 2 rights protect every individual's core conscience and right of determination, perhaps more than any other rights. Of course, neither right is absolute. Governments define in different ways where appropriate restraints exist, but as to freedom of religion and freedom of expression, we need both. I do not suggest to any government where it should draw those lines, but I do highlight and do reiterate the fundamental nature of these two freedoms with respect to individual human dignity and happiness. Both freedom of religion or belief, as well as freedom of expression, must, of necessity, be granted to others in order to exist within and across society. In a pluralistic society, religious as well as other viewpoints will, by definition, not always conform. There may be a tendency on the part of some individuals or groups to restrain the freedom of belief or the expression of belief of others in order to further one's own viewpoints. Yet perhaps the best way to preserve one's own freedom is to firmly advocate that others enjoy the same freedom, even when religious or other viewpoints may be different than our own. Somewhat paradoxically, to maintain those freedoms ourselves, we must defend not the viewpoints of other people, but their right to hold and express those viewpoints, even when different than our own. Joseph Smith, the first prophet and president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, said, "I am bold to declare before heaven that I am just as ready to die in defending the rights of a Presbyterian, a Baptist, or any good man or woman of any denomination, for the same principle which would trample upon the rights of the Latter-day Saints, would trample upon the rights of the Roman Catholics, or of any other denomination who may be too weak to defend themselves. It is the love of liberty that inspires my soul," said Joseph Smith, "civil and religious liberty to the whole of the human race." Now let's talk for just a moment about a package of rights. These principles show that, contrary to sometimes popular belief, nations and societies that uphold religious freedoms and rights are more likely rather than less likely to enjoy a wealth of other liberties. One way that these expressions come together or could be trampled is through exclusion of ideas based on moral or religious conviction from the public square. We've already touched on these themes. We're well aware of the concerns in this area. Religiously based viewpoints and religious people have much to contribute to social and policy discourse. While the origins of these viewpoints may be religious in nature, their implications are often profound. Therefore, weighing even secular implications, much is missed if religiously based viewpoints are not considered, together with other viewpoints, solely because they come from a religious perspective. Defending freedom of religion or freedom of expression are key, as we've been saying, to protecting the basic human dignity of all individuals. In addition, these freedoms extend and protect religious institutions in carrying out their respective mission according to their self-determined doctrine. These missions are to a large extent not only compatible with most societal and governmental objectives, but often crucial to their accomplishment. Because human needs know no boundaries, unselfish service, such as we are collectively engaged in, reaches across barriers. Unselfish service helps people overcome poverty and other challenges to becoming self-reliant. It empowers individuals. It makes us more independent. It gives us identity as actors, not as objects, able to adapt attitudes, learn skills, and affect our own identity. It fosters a needed spirit of what some people call a self-motivated impulse towards goodness. Unselfish service deepens compassion, champions long-term, even eternal perspectives. We've talked about how no individual group can address the totality of global needs, and yet at the same time, religious virtues and values benefit every society. They have intrinsic value and provide meaning and purpose in our lives. They provide positive human norms that anchor society and promote social stability. Religious organizations across the spectrum of those organizations inspire a sense of community, civil engagement, social cohesion, service, and volunteerism. These organizations enrich civil society. They counteract modern loneliness and atomization. They bring virtues and values to help individuals and societies foster justice, reconciliation, and forgiveness. The prominence of these two freedoms, that of religion or belief and that of expression, is highlighted by the lofty position these freedoms are enshrined in where these freedoms are enshrined. For example, in the Mexican Constitution, Articles 6 and 24 protect freedom of expression and religious freedom respectively. The Constitution of the United States of America likewise enumerates rights within the Bill of Rights. And the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 18, reminds us that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And Article 19 continues likewise. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and so on. Let us briefly summarize. We've shared today regarding the following: human dignity, necessity of reciprocity, a package of rights, the legitimacy and beneficial nature of religious expression as part of the social discourse, the benefits of religious thought and activity to society, the enshrinement of freedom of religion or belief and freedom of expression within constitutions and international documents. In some ways, it's very appropriate that we're here in this prestigious venue, the Senate of the Mexican Republic. Here we read the wisdom of President Benito Juarez. Between the individual, as between the nations, the respect for the right of others is the peace. In our faith tradition, I would offer these thoughts, these feelings with you in a sense of the sacred. We would say, en el nombre de Jesucristo, Amen.